615 passes unanimously. Brings us to Resolution 630, and I wonder, Councillor Cypress, would you like to read this one in?
Thank you, President Larson. Resolution 630 is a resolution supporting seed saving within the City of Duluth and requesting changes in state seed law to allow seed sharing without cost or germination testing, and I believe we have speakers.
Oh, we do, yes, which is great. We have several speakers. So we will start with Rihanna Letzos. Hopefully I said that correctly. Rihanna Letzos. Okay, I'll move down. If she comes back, we can come back. Kristen Stuchis. Welcome.
First, I want to thank Councillor Gardner and Larson and Cypress for taking leadership on this resolution and support. And also, I want to thank the Duluth Public Library for the seed saving initiative in the seed library that they've worked so hard on. And it's just been a great success to this point. I'm a teacher, and I've been gardening with children for more than 14 years. I have also been actively involved in the Hillside Public Orchard and the One Vegetable, One Community initiative here in Duluth. Two projects, actually, and the teaching as well, are projects that strive to make healthy food accessible, more accessible to all. The resolution supporting seed saving within the city and requesting changes in the state seed law to allow seed sharing without cost or germination testing directly affects all of these projects. First, I want to mention a few of the things that directly connect with this resolution. One of the things is my 4th grade class. One thing I do with my students is a salsa garden. And we plant tomatoes. We start them from seed. We also plant garlic that we start from seed. And this year was extra special because I taught them about heirloom seeds and how to save their seeds. And I would have loved for all of you to have been there to see their eyes light up at the magic of being able to look at the many, many seeds and realize that they could take them home and they could plant them and start the tomatoes themselves. We start the school year harvesting from the garden, and we right away make salsa. And throughout the year, I help them prepare their own salsa gardens and then the school garden for the next year's incoming 4th graders. This year was a challenging year for growing tomatoes. I've had success in my home garden for many years, but this year was difficult with the cold weather. But the seeds from the Duluth Community Gardening Program and also from the public library helped me have success. It was the yellow taxi seeds that were specific for this cold climate that were successful. And if it weren't for these seeds, we wouldn't have had salsa this year. So these are the seeds that I saved with my students. I haven't told my students yet that actually what I was doing was illegal. I had no idea because I've been a member of the Seed Savers Exchange for quite a while, and this company you would think would not benefit from people saving seeds and sharing, but they actually encourage it. Take a look at the catalog in the first few pages. They say that it's actually vital because we need to save these heirloom seeds. The biodiversity of seeds has actually shrunk to incredible lows. And it's the people that are saving seeds and, more importantly, for their locality, their community. Duluth is very specific in that we don't have a very long growing season. And it's important for us to have seeds that do well in this climate. So it's a health issue. It leads to a sense of wonder, but more practically, it's a health issue. It's a safety issue for our community. And it helps with preserving our heritage and biodiversity. I have so much more to say. This is, obviously I'm a little bit passionate about this issue, but I'm going to let others speak tonight. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Stuchis. It is hard to get it into 3 minutes. I hear you. So thank you for trying that. Okay, Michael Gabler is next. Oh, okay. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, thanks. I'm Michael Gabler. I'm in support of the resolution to support seed saving. And I'm a biology teacher, and it may have been a few years since you've stepped into a biology classroom, so I just wanted to let you know that there are very few things that you really need to survive. You need clean water, you need clean air, and you need food. And we've all eaten food today, and all that food can be linked back to seeds. So what's interesting about the world we live in now is that most of the food comes from just a few varieties. But even the time that those pictures were taken up on the wall, those black and whites, when people were just immigrating to Duluth, thousands and thousands of different varieties of seeds were producing the food we ate. I've got a bag of seeds here that were brought over from Sweden. So my people came from across the sea. They could bring very few things with them, and what they brought were seeds. Because this was the difference between making it through a winter or not. This particular seed was given to me by a friend. There might be only one place in the world today to get these seeds, and that would be from me or from my friend that grows them. There's 40,000 varieties of beans, but you can only buy a couple dozen. And so if you want seeds that grow well in Duluth, you talk to people that grow plants in Duluth. Because if we plant all these Swedish beans, some of them are going to produce really well and some of them aren't. You keep the ones that produce really well, and you end up with plants that are hardy to our region. So this is just what people have been doing for thousands and thousands of years. I think it almost seems like it was an accident that this would be illegal or prohibited. And so I really appreciate your leadership in trying to make things right. I think most gardeners are pretty quiet people, so we just go about doing these kinds of things without really raising our voices too much, and I appreciate your leadership. So thanks a lot.
Thank you for being here. So has Rihanna Letzos returned? Come on up. Welcome.
Counselors and fellow community members.
Maybe you could pull that microphone
Sure.
a little closer. Thank you.
My name is Rihanna Letzos, and down here. So, there we go. Thanks for having me. Some of what I was going to talk about has already been said a little bit, but I'll just repeat it because it's important. I am a daughter of an immigrant, and when people came, or when people would leave to go to a new land, they would take with them their most prized possessions. And what were these prized possessions? Well, you guessed it, they were seeds. Seeds are more important, you could argue, than any other resource in the world. They are the very life source of our existence here on earth, and they need our protection. Just as the environment needs our protection, seeds and those organizations that play a role in keeping a diverse and healthy supply of seeds available to the community need our protection. We are really riding the wave of the food access movement right now. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the Food Access Summit and the Minnesota Food Charter. There are many things that were outlined in the food charter, some key parts that they want us to focus on, or we want to focus on as a community, including a foundation of healthy eating, and seeds are really that foundation. They're the source of our food. We really can't do anything without them. If we don't have seeds, we really don't have food, and that could be really dangerous for our community and for the world. So thank you for hearing everyone's voice tonight and for your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. We have 5 more speakers on this. Next, we move to Francois Medion. And followed by, next up will be Charlie Danielson. Welcome.
Good evening, President Larson and councilors. I'm going to ask you to excuse me. My English is not my first language, and I'm a little bit nervous. But anyway, I would like to bring my voice to support the resolution to keep seed saving and sharing in Duluth. I think it's first, seeds are a right, the same as having it's an intrinsic right, the same as having the right to fresh air and fresh water. And I think this is of extreme importance. It's beyond sustainability. It has to do with resiliency. And I'm a gardener, and I live here in Duluth, and then this is what I want for the city of Duluth, is to create resiliency. Seeds are very important for that. If anything happened to our food system, or we stop relying on what we grow in California or New Zealand, for that matter, or anywhere else, we would be left with very little here. And so it's important that we start saving seeds, sharing things. And as some other speakers have said, also the seeds are. It's important to develop seeds that are adapted to our environment here in Duluth, in our short summers, very long winter. And so for all those reasons above, I ask you to vote for that, and I thank you for your time and attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Charlie Danielson, followed by Jan Hibbs. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you, councilors, for your time on this important issue. My name is Charlie Nelson. I'm the Vice President of the Sustainable Farming Association of Minnesota, the President of the Sustainable Farming Association of Lake Superior Chapter, and this year, for the next 2 years, I'll be working under a USDA grant to help bring farm to school to reality in this region. My particular position in that would be a farm to logistics operator. One of the biggest problems that I see right now is right in front of us, right here. We live in a very interesting time in history that this is the first time that our kids are going to forget what food looks like. And farmers don't know how to grow it without fossil fuels and fossil water. Being that, we need to have our rights to have seed. It is the very beginning, it is the very start of any topic when you talk about food access or food for everybody. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Jan Hibbs, followed by Alan Richardson. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jan Hibbs, and I live here in Duluth. That's okay. People forget the age. And I'm here tonight as director of the Community Garden Program, and we not only make land available for gardening, but a really important part of our work is building a network of people, gardeners, friends of gardeners, members who are interested and passionate about reconnecting with our food and creating healthy changes in their own lives by being able to grow some of their own fresh, healthy food. One thing I love about community gardening is participation is key. I love that you can be at a garden and you can be a brand new gardener and not know anything about it, and you can see in a neighboring garden somebody's got some tomatoes that are doing really well, or some beautiful peas with purple flowers, and you can get some of those seeds from that gardener, and you know that they're going to do well in your garden, and you can exchange stories. And so that connection is a really important part of what we do. And I think we're at an interesting point in history where we've lost a lot of that connection both to the food and to each other. So in my office, I've had lots of calls in the last couple of weeks of people, some members that I know and some people, names I don't recognize, that are saying, I've been saving seeds, or I've gone door to door with my neighbors and sharing seeds, and I had no idea this was illegal, and they're really concerned and want their stories shared and their support voiced. So on behalf of all those community gardeners and members and friends and myself, I just want to thank you, councilors, for your leadership on this resolution. I think we're setting an awesome example for our state, and I just thank you for that.
Thank you. Jan, thank you for, sorry about getting your name wrong a couple times. Ellen Richardson, followed by our final speaker, who is Jamie Harvey.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you for the opportunity to address you. I'm an organizer and done a little agricultural policy in my past, and so as a student of Minnesota politics, I just want to share the observation that this issue is catching fire in the imagination of the public, and I'm going to go ahead and assert that I think there's a 100% chance that this will be resolved through grassroots organizing and legislative work. And this strikes me as a very solvable situation. I think it's an affront to Minnesotan common sense that non-commercial seed saving should run afoul of laws that are designed for commercial agricultural interests. And again, just from my read of it, there are a lot of people that when they read about this in the paper and so forth, they strike their foreheads. They're like, "That does not work. We got to fix that." I predict that will come to pass, and so I want to speak in support of the resolution. And again, I would hope that you councilors would join us on the front end of this as we just work to turn the situation around and return to common sense so we can keep this seed sharing program going in the city of Duluth. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Harvey.
Thank you, President Larson and councilors. Thanks for this opportunity to share my perspective on the seed resolution. I'm a 25-year-old resident of Duluth, and as many of you know, I'm the executive director of the Institute for a Sustainable Future, which has been working with organizations around the state and country in the distillation and support for key principles as they relate to seed sharing, and health. Tonight, I speak as an individual moved by an amalgam of love, community, diversity, and democracy. I think it'd be fair to say that almost everyone in this room has been touched by the miracle of seeds. We can all think back to those first few times when we planted seed, most times peas or beans. And as a young child with parent or trusted family or mentor, we watered and waited until we could see the soil crack as the seed below began to emerge. For me, it was the beans in our family's garden up from the house below the edge of the maple forest. Every time it was and remains a miracle. It's an alchemy of soil, magic, genes, embodied knowledge, and history. These are experiences we've shared generation over generation, successfully passing down this knowledge of sharing, saving, and planting together. It's an activity in which our state, communities, and societies across the globe were built. Farmers would help their neighbors out by sharing good seed, or when that neighbor had a bad year. Gardeners learned which of their friends saved seeds well, and then planted those seeds, sharing them in turn, together developing an incredible array of regionally adapted vegetables with an incredible diversity of flavors, diversity of colors, diversity of nutrients, diversity of tastes. On reading the law, I read a law based on fear and control. When did Minnesotans suddenly fear their neighbor or friend and demand protection for the free and voluntary exchange of seeds? What I hear in the streets and through my calls is we don't fear poor germination. We fear restrictions on sharing. When did our state suddenly question our community's ability to freely develop, educate, and promote the community building activity of sharing? I believe many join me in their desire to live in a state and a world where we default to trust over fear, diversity over uniformity, and freedom over control. It's no surprise then that our library and libraries, long recognized as a bulwark of our democracy, are at the epicenter of this issue. They are the face, the metaphor for interpersonal seed sharing by teachers and schools, between neighbors and between gardeners. As a result of the MDA enforcement, Duluth is in the national spotlight. By supporting this resolution, let us send a strong signal to our community, the state, and the nation for what values Duluth stands for and for the voluntary activity of seed sharing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, everybody. That was really great testimony and powerful words. We have several speakers in the queue, and I think I do want to allow co-authors to speak before others. Councillor Cypress, did you want to finish up? You were at the microphone initially reading in, and then I'll go to you, Councillor Gardner.
All right, thank you, President Larson. I just want to say a few words of background because this issue has been in the news quite a bit with regard to the seed library. But I think it's important to understand, as our speakers tonight pointed out, that this issue actually goes well beyond the fate of Duluth Seed Library. So people understand what we're talking about. Minnesota's long had a law called the seed law, and what the seed law says is that if you're going to sell seeds, you have to label them and you have to test them for germination. And the reason that law exists, and it's there for a good reason, it was put in place so that if you're a farmer and you're buying seeds from a commercial seed provider, you know that you're not being sold bad seeds. So this was an appropriate regulation to protect farmers from those who they were buying seeds from. I don't think anybody ever could have imagined that this law was written in such a way to treat the voluntary exchange of seeds with your neighbor just like you're a big agribusiness concern selling seeds commercially to farmers. But lo and behold, because of the issue of the local seed library, we've discovered that not just seed libraries, but in fact any voluntary exchange of seeds that does not involve the payment of a fee, labeling, and germination testing is technically under Minnesota law illegal. And that, of course, is ridiculous. And so what we're doing here tonight is actually trying to bring about a change in what I would like to believe was a thoughtlessly written law, but some of us worry whether perhaps it was done at some point intentionally to try to discourage this kind of voluntary seed sharing so that we all become dependent on commercial seed sellers. To me, this issue is very important locally for our seed library, but also because the city of Duluth has really become a leader in developing local sustainable economy. And to me, what we've done around here to develop a local sustainable economy has involved also the development of non-commercial agriculture. We were the first in the state to legalize keeping your own chickens, and it's become quite the craze in Duluth, and it'd be interesting to know what percentage of our local eggs are now produced locally, non-commercially. We have a great community gardening program, we have beekeepers, we have the seed library, we have so much going on in this community that involves local, sustainable, non-commercial agriculture, and now we discover that there's in place a law that technically rules much of that activity illegal. So what we're voting on tonight is a resolution of the Duluth City Council that expresses our support for our local seed library, for voluntary seed exchange, and we're asking our legislative delegation to work with us cooperatively to change this law so that we legalize the voluntary exchange of seeds and we don't treat local gardeners as criminals by applying to them a rule that's really designed for, big mass global agribusiness corporations.
Thank you, Councillor Cypress. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, President Larson, and thank you, Councillor Cypress, for your very comprehensive overview of this issue. I'm going to get a little bit more personal, but I did want to point something out before I do that. I noticed that we have an alliance now tonight here and around this issue of gardeners, librarians, and teachers. And you don't want to be ticking off this group. Because while we may be very quiet, and I am a part of this group as a gardener, we can be very, very, shall we say, patient, and we know how to wait, and we know how to work, and we know how to organize, and all of those attributes I think are going to lead to great success with this issue. I'm not going to get too much into more about what this is about, but I did want to thank the speakers for coming, and all of the things that you said were really beautifully said tonight. This is another occasion where, as a counselor, I'm just grateful that I can listen to the community of such an educated and articulate community. Some of the things you said were so spot on, and you told a beautiful narrative at the same time. I think it was Francois who said this. We're talking about an intrinsic right, an intrinsic human right that we have had for thousands and thousands of years of sharing seeds and growing seeds and developing seeds for our climate. I think it was Leona who talked about the climate adaptive specific seeds and how important that is. And in our special growing season in Duluth, it can make a huge difference as a community gardener, I know, of having the right seed for the tomatoes to thrive or not, particularly in these last couple of years. It's been a little difficult. We had a pretty cold summer last year. So the work that we do in the community garden and as folks, I was really touched by the fourth grade teacher talking about your students and the salsa garden and the fact that what you are doing now is technically illegal. And this is something that I believe that we can change. I'm very, very proud to be part of sponsoring this. I had no idea that my exchanging of seeds with my neighbor was illegal either. So I guess if we're going to go to jail, we're all going to go together. But I think, as Alan said, we're looking at common sense, and it's something that we have lost, I think, a little bit as a society. We have to, and we have to continue to watch what our government is doing with regard to these laws. And this resolution will direct the legislature. I'm going to also ask that it be put on our legislative priorities when we meet with them in January, exactly what it is we want. Because it isn't just about the seed library, although the seed library is extremely important. It is about the right to exchange seeds and to share seeds and to teach our children how to grow gardens, and also to have, again, climate adaptive specific seeds. So we have a broader variety, so we're not dependent on big ag in order to survive. All of these things make a lot of sense. Counselors, I think we're going to get this passed without a big problem tonight. But I'm really happy that we have had the opportunity to hear the community, to educate ourselves, and hopefully the broader community by having this discussion. I think this is a really positive start.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Filipovich.
Thank you, President Larson, and thank you to all the speakers that came here tonight. This is a resolution supporting an initiative to the state legislature, and because it's a Duluth-specific initiative and in support of that initiative and program, I will be supporting it tonight, and I will speak a little bit on it. And just to clarify, my mom is the one with the green thumb in our family, and she has been an active member of the community garden program for many years and in the past. I think with this resolution of support, and hopefully ultimately with the changing of the state law, this will expand the ability for people to grow food and to share their seeds and share their success with other gardeners. And knowing where my food comes from, in large part thanks to my mom, a local and keeping that food source as local as possible, which I think a lot of Duluthians agree with, as evidenced by their buying habits. Local food growers' success is our shared success, and I think therefore seed success is our shared success. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Filipovich. Councillor Russ.
Thank you, President Larson. I'm also a gardener, although as others have mentioned in recent years, I really haven't had seeds to share because I haven't been very successful with my gardening. I still, in fact, kind of got caught up short with our first snowfall, and my garden still has some tomato plants in it. But, when I heard about this, I thought, well, most likely, when this was, I don't know what year this was passed, but no one was really even thinking about, a seed program at the library, or those of us who do garden and share seeds with each other. So I don't know that there's any, conspiracy or whatever to not allow us to do this, because we all do. I mean, I've gotten seeds from lots of people, that's for sure. And like I said, I haven't had any to share back in the last 3 years anyway, specifically tomatoes, I guess. But I think it's really, really important, this gardening, and it's really, really important that there are community gardens. I happen to be on the board of Community Action Duluth, and I'm really excited about some of the stuff that's going on there with gardening and some future plans. And so this is just, a part of all of that. So I know we need to get this cleaned up. I'm certainly going to support this. I'd be very surprised if we can't get this through the legislature. And I think with Duluth has become well-known for all sorts of things. I don't know if we really can become well-known for growing tomatoes. But I think that, when others in other cities in Minnesota or elsewhere hear about this, I think they're going to take a look at the issue as well. I hope so. Maybe this is unique to Minnesota. I'm not sure. But I think it's really, really important that we do something about it, that's for sure. So, of course, I will be voting for this tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Russ. I see no other speakers in the queue. I am a co-sponsor along with Councillor Gardner and Councillor Cypress, and I'm really happy to do so. I have to say I do not garden at all. I actually did used to garden, but then I had kids, and I never got back to it, but I do rely on this community of growers to sustain my family as much as possible. So, happy to support this and appreciate people's passion and interest in being here and communicating and pushing this forward. So, let's take Resolution 630 to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution 630 passes unanimously.